Hi guys, and welcome back to the Cruel Corner. We're here once again in this wonderful ranty corner for all things Formula E, and it's the last time this season that I will be doing that intro. Can you believe it? 16 rounds have been and gone, and we have reached the climax here at London. Wow. What could be said about that race? It had a little bit of everything, didn't it? There was absolute chaos and pandemonium at the start. There was cars getting biffed left, right and centre. Then we had the disobeying of team orders. Oh God, it just had everything, didn't it? What a way to end the season. So if you've never seen this series before, I award the drivers out a maximum of 10 points based on their overall race weekend's performance, and I go all the way down to 0 if they have a particularly bad one. Take a look out for bonus points. They're sometimes not for some drivers do something extra special during a race, and on the rare occasion I do award minus points. Those drivers do something extra special, but for all the wrong reasons. Let's take a look at the current Cruel Corner standings then going into this episode. It's on the screen now for you. Take a look and see where your favourite driver is, and based on how well they did this race, can you see them going up? Can you see them going down? It's all to play for. It's the final round, as I've already mentioned several times already, but we're gonna crown a champion. We are gonna crown a champion. It's so tight. I can't believe Nick Cassidy's got himself in the mix as well all of a sudden, coming from nowhere. Dan Tinkton sort of unrealistic now to get the title after getting the of the week in yesterday's episode. It's really between Taylor Barnard and Ollie Rowland, isn't it? But who's going to come out on top? We'll wait and see. And there's so many other positions that can swap and change in this video right at the end. Just in true Formula E style, you don't know who's won it until they've actually bloody won it. So without further ado then, let's kick things off with the race winner, shall we? I can't stop smiling. It's Nick Cassidy. It's Nick Cassidy. I'm so excited. Honestly, I can't believe he's managed to win this weekend the way he has. You know, he got the victory in the first race. He's got victory here after taking pole position as well and secured fastest lap. And he ended up second, runners-up in the Drivers' Championship to end the season after only scoring 1 point in the first 6 rounds. Wow, that means, I mean, we already said there and then, didn't we, that the championship was all over for him, and there's no way he's going to be able to win it after this. But the fact he's been able to get to the point where he's ended up runner-up. And Jaguar finished second in the standings as well, in the team standings. It's just crazy. The turnaround in fortune from that team has been unreal these last few races. And they've just kept netting the wins, kept netting the points, and have just delivered the goods. And Nick Cassidy, once again this weekend, did just that. I just can't believe it. I really can't believe it. Will he be sort of regretting leaving Jaguar now? Obviously, the deal behind the scenes was done when he was having the struggling period at the start of the year. I don't think so, because I honestly think that Nick Cassidy can turn any team around into a race-winning team and into a championship contending team, because look at what he did with Envision. They've been lost ever since, really. Here, of course, at Jaguar, there was always on the cards and always on the cusp of championships, but never realistically, always mathematically. He turned that chance into a real possibility. So everything that Nick Cassidy touches turns to gold, and next season, no matter where he ends up, we'll still see him on the podium, we'll still see him taking victories, we'll still see him scoring solid points in bad races, and I think we'll still see him as a realistic championship contender come the end of the season. Get ready to eat my words in 12 months, Josh. But I honestly do see that with Nick Cassidy. He is such an asset to any Formula 1 team. Is a real credit to Formula E, and this race, to go out with a bang, just proved it. Over 13 seconds over the next car. He just drove incredibly well. It's 12 points. It's 12 points to Nick Cassidy. It has to be. What a great weekend by him overall. And this race in particular, where we're judging the scores. Pole position, led every lap, fastest lap, victory. What could you do? What else can you do other than that? That was absolutely stunning. Second place, and rounding out a great weekend for the Knicks, it's Nick De Vries securing his second place here at the London circuit. Well done, Nick De Vries, and well done, Mahindra. What a year they have had. It's been absolutely incredible. They've managed to secure 4th in the team standings as well after a preliminary drop into 5th as a result of this Jaguar charge through that came from nowhere. But they were able to, in this final round with the points they scored, overtake DS Penske ticket to reclaim that 4th place that I think was rightly theirs. They have done so well this season, Mahindra. I'm so happy for them. Okay, they didn't quite scrape the victory this time around this season, but many 2nd places, a couple of 3rd places, they've done really well. It's been points pretty much every weekend for them, and they've always been in the mix fighting for podiums and top 5 finishes. And contrast that to just a couple of seasons ago where Ollie Rowland left the team dejected halfway through the season because he was sick of it. You know, what an absolute turnaround in fortune from them. And I'm so happy to see Mahindra do so well. Nick de Vries, of course, a fantastic weekend for him. Once again, a strong qualifying inside the top 5. Managed the pace well, managed the attack modes well, managed his efficiency well, didn't get into any squabbles that he didn't need to get involved in, and just drove really cleverly to secure another 2nd place at London. It's a perfect 10. It's a perfect 10 to Nick de Vries once again for what was a fantastic race by him, and overall a fantastic weekend for him as well, rounding out his season in true style and a great job. I can't wait to see what next season brings for Mahindra now, because I hope they can continue to make this forward progress so they can be championship contenders. Imagine that, Nick de Vries, Eduardo Mortara in the championship fight once again. I'd love to see it, especially for Mahindra, one of my favourite teams on the grid. Bloody love them, and it's great to see them thriving this season. So many podiums, so many points finishes, 4th in the team standings, and rounding out their season with a double podium for Nick de Vries. And it's 10 points for that 2nd place for Nick. Securing 3rd place. Bloody hell, how did he do it? I think I said in the other episode, didn't I? Like, oh God, imagine if Buemi wins it now. Well, he didn't win it, but here he is in 3rd place. Sebastian Buemi. What on earth? What on earth? Yeah, he was really clever. He was really clever this race. He kept himself outside of this ridiculous gaggle that were fighting over everything in the early stages. Bits of wing were going flying. They were knocking each other into the walls. It was absolute pandemonium and chaos. But Buemi drove so well to stay outside of that, let them get on with the squabbles, and only overtake them when they were stuffed in a wall. You know, he just literally kept himself out of trouble. He left an attack mode for late, and because he was so efficient on the energy, because he wasn't getting involved in the fights, he had percentage over everyone else. That late attack mode, he managed to get himself into about 6th or 7th place anyway, as a result of just making sure everyone else had their issues, and he continued just to make steady progress through. And then that final attack mode was over like, bloody hell, where's Buemi come from? He was able to just charge through the field, get 4th on the road, of course, and inherited the final podium position after Mitch Evans' penalty. It's been a great end to the season for him, no doubt about that. Buemi, of course, securing a victory this season as well for the first time in about 15 years. So, you know, he's done really well, Buemi has this season, but once again that Envision car has just been so inconsistent that we can't always see him up here. Buemi though, he finished 3rd place, 4th on the road. I'm not going to discredit him for that though, but I think 9 points. 9 points is fully deserving for what was a great drive and a great managed race. That is someone that has been in Formula E for many years, and he knows how to play the game. And he's like, yeah, you guys get on with it. If you want to keep taking each other's wings off and knocking each other into the wall, you do that. I'm going to sit back and let you just enjoy doing that, and then I'll pick up the pieces. Fantastic. 9-2 Buemi. 4th place, we come to Jake Dennis in the first of the Andrettis. I think I mentioned in yesterday's episode he finished 5th, ended up tumbling down to 8th, but at the time of recording I didn't know that, so apologies for that, but I'm not bothered about the score, it doesn't really matter. But here we are, Jake Dennis actually finishing P4 now, and I'm recording this a couple of days after the race, so I know he finished 4th. And yeah, great effort by Andretti and by Jake Dennis, somewhat ending their season on a high as well. Okay, it's not been podiums this race, but at least it's been solid points finishes for Jake Dennis at least. Some consolation to what has been another tough season for the Andretti squad. They just can't replicate what they were able to do with Jake Dennis a couple of seasons ago, and they've just always struggled. Last season it was no single lap pace in qualifying, and then were able to make progress through the race, but obviously sometimes being in the danger zone meant they were getting taken out and things like that. This time around it looks like they've got the the qualifying pace sorted out for the most part, but then struggled in races. So we've had a topsy-turvy season for Andretti. Sure, there'll be lots of homework going into season 12 for them. And yeah, Jake Dennis, solid drive once again, very similar to what Buemi did. Tried not to get too involved in too many squabbles, but had to get his elbows out at times. And it's 9 points to him as well. 9 points to Jake Dennis for what has been yet another solid season. And another solid race for the Andretti squad. Nothing else can be added to that. It's just been solid. if unspectacular though. But 9 to Jake Dennis for what was a great race. Securing 5th place, we come to Mitch Evans in the second of the Jaguars after crossing the line in P2. Yeah, got a little bit frustrating that, didn't it? He got a 5-second time penalty for overspeeding under safety car. The team tried to fight it behind the scenes, but to no avail. And Mitch Evans was incredibly frustrated that Nick Cassidy wasn't willing to help out. There were discussions of course, letting Evans get ahead of Cassidy, then Evans take over a 5-second lead over Nick Cassidy, of course, meaning that Evans got the win. The 5-second time penalty didn't matter, and then Nick Cassidy was able to secure 2nd place. But as far as I can see, it very much looked like it was never going to happen. I honestly don't believe that any of this information was relayed to Nick Cassidy about Evans' 5-second time penalty. Evans got the notification quite late, and then he was like, "Well, let me have some help here," you know. But I don't think Cassidy, because the frustration from the Mitch Evans engineer, that one stage where you pan to the camera, is like, for fuck's sake, like, oh God, someone help me, guys, help me! I need to get him a victory. I just think that the team just said, look, let it play out as it plays out. Nick Cassidy's driving a great race. He doesn't deserve to lose the victory because of Mitch Evans' 5-second time penalty, which, I mean, makes sense, doesn't it? It's not Nick Cassidy's fault that he's picked up 5 seconds for overspeeding under safety car. And, yeah, it would have been excellent to see a 1-2 for Jaguar, but they already worked out they'd done enough to get 2nd in the Constructors anyway, in the Teams Championship as well, with the result of P1 and P5. So just thought, let Cassidy have the win. I mean, Cassidy was doing 107s at one stage, and Evans were only able to do 110s. And then when Cassidy slowed down again, he was doing 110s and Evans were doing 112s. So the pace of Evans did not match up with what Cassidy was doing. And I think it would have been a great shame to see Cassidy slow down, get involved in antics and get damage while other cars tried to take advantage of him slowing down to let Evans through. It had just been unjust, and we've seen that before in the past with Cassidy, haven't we? Trying to play the team game too much ends up in Cassidy getting shafted. I mean, perfect example was when he was envisioned a couple of seasons ago. He lost the championship messing about with Buemi. You know, just no need for it. So, yeah, Cassidy absolutely did the right thing, and I don't think Cassidy actually got as many messages or notifications as maybe he should have done if the way that Evans' team radio was playing out, like, look, we've told him after fastest lap he's going to slow down. I don't think anyone told Cassidy, but I don't know. Anyway, 8.5 to Mitch Evans. Don't want to be overcritical of him. I can understand his frustration. He clearly wanted to just stay on the podium as opposed to taking victory. I don't think he meant any malice in it, and I just think he wanted to get the best result for the Jaguar team for their final race. But as it was, the team said, boys, have at it. Final race of the season. We're happy with Nick taking the win and you finishing wherever you finish. Fair enough. 8.5 to Mitch Evans. Next up we come to Antonio Felix da Costa. What a great drive here. P6 after starting at the back of the grid due to a problem in qualifying with his car. He was unable to take the start. What a great shame for him, but here he is recovering to P6. What a great drive. What a great drive indeed. How the fortunes have turned. Porsche not wanting da Costa at the start of last season after a poor start to his campaign and wanting to replace him mid-season, etc. Now they're desperate to keep hold of him, and da Costa doesn't want to stay. Rumours are he's going to Jaguar to take the Nick Cassidy seat. That'll be interesting, won't it? But for his race overall, once again drove absolutely sublimely, kept himself out of trouble, recovered all the way up from last due to no fault of his own to a P6 finish, highest of the Porsches. Great effort. Perfect end to da Costa to round out his season. What a great performance by him. Next up we come to Maxi Gunter in the first of the DS Penske's. Yeah, unfortunately for him, just wasn't able to make any progress this race, I'm afraid to say. I think he got the attack mode wrong, didn't he? I think he took one too early and then was a sitting duck later on. But yeah, after an impressive qualifying, it didn't deliver in the race and didn't translate, but was still able to pick up some points for DS Penske, but not enough to hold off the Mahindra team, who secured that 4th place over him in the final race. It's a solid 7. Solid 7 to Gunter. Don't want to be overly critical of him, but there were much better drives out there as well. And yeah, not much can be said about that. Just a solid performance. Then we come to Pascal Wehrlein. Unfortunately for him, coming here in P8, just getting a couple of points in the end. Wasn't enough for him to retain runners-up spot in the Drivers' Championship, but he was able to, with his points, secure the Teams' Championship for Porsche, which we knew realistically after the last race where Nissan's did terribly, that this time around it was all just but mathematical. They didn't even need to score points, to be honest. Once the Nissans had come to turmoil, there was no way any other team could overhaul them. So any additional points were nice, and Wehrlein was able to secure the team's championship for the Porsche squad this season, after what has been a solid year by both Porsche drivers. But Wehrlein, this time around, we don't really know what happened to him. He was sort of running around in 4th, 5th place, and then tumbled down to around 10th, and there he is recovering to 8th. So I don't know if he had contact or if he had a problem with the car. But either way, here he is. I've not been generous with him, but I've not been harsh either. I've given him a solid 6. Solid 6 to Wehrlein. I don't know why he tumbled down the order, but he was on for a top 5 finish anyway. Top 4 with Evans as penalty. But as it was, he just slumped down the order, and I don't know why. So can't do much about that, unfortunately. But 6 to Wehrlein. Yeah, top drive overall. Team's championship he'll be happy with. I think he'd be a little bit good to lose runners-up spot, though, this race, after being in that position for so long. 6 to Wehrlein. In 9th place, and nice to see him round out the season with a couple of points, it is Lucas Di Grassi for the Lola Apt Yamaha squad. It's been a tough, challenging year for the Lola team, no doubt about that, of course, but they'll be looking to build on what they've learnt in Season 11, going forward into Season 12. Nice to see him round out the season with a P9 finish and a couple of points, though. Yeah, can't really fault a thing, to be honest. I think he'd have crossed the line P10 anyway. There's a couple of penalties ahead and one dropped down the order, but this one, of course, meant that he was going to get points anyway with a P10, and here he is securing a P9 instead. So yeah, doubled his points tally what he was on course for at the line. But yeah, you know, Di Grassi overall has done a solid job this season, taken a surprise podium for the team as well, and has been the, of course, main breadwinner of the points this season, has taken all of them. So yeah, Di Grassi, can't fault a thing with that really. Solid drive, solid performance, didn't see much of him, but was able to secure a couple of points for the final race this season, which will be an encouraging sign going into Season 12. And yeah, we knew it was always going to be a development year. Some races have been tougher than I expected them to be for him, but that's racing, isn't it? And I'm sure they'll come back stronger for Season 12. But it's 7.5. 7.5 to Di Grassi for what has been a solid race overall. And the race season itself, it was always very difficult to judge with a new team, but at least they rounded out with a couple of points. Securing the final points paid position. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! We come to David Beckman. He scored a point. He scored a point in the final time of trying. Well done, David Beckman. Okay, it was as a result of his own teammate's penalty that got him from 11th to 10th, but he was fighting with Norman Nato on that final lap and got him. He got him. Here he is picking up a point. I'm happy. He deserved that. He really did, to be fair. I was saying in yesterday's race that it was an encouraging sign here and there that he finished P12 on merit, and, you know, he didn't have any problems. He had plenty of efficiency, and I was pleased with how he was doing. And then this race, he's got a point. Well done, David Beckman. He scores a point. I mean, it's not much, is it? But at least it's something. Unlikely to retain his seat going into the second season of his own career, of course. Apparently, you know, Kiro are looking elsewhere, which I can understand. It's been a tough rookie year for Beckman, but at least he's rounded out his campaign. Maybe he's only ever time in Formula E. Maybe we won't see him return again, apart from maybe an old guest appearance if it clashes with World Endurance again. But he's rounded out his campaign with a point, and I think that's something to be pleased about. So David Beckman, 8 points for me. 8 points for David Beckman. It was nice to see him have a good drive there. Again, qualifying wasn't bad either, so maybe he just found his feet at last, but too little too late perhaps, I don't know. But yeah, he scored a point. Well done, David Beckman. 8 to you. Just outside the points, as already mentioned, squabbling with David Beckman for that final points paying position inherited by a penalty. We come to Norman Nato in the Nissan. No, Norman Nato in the Nissan. Had contact with Taylor Barnard, but I don't know what happened to him there. We just saw Taylor Barnard pointing the wrong way and Norman Nato stuffed into the side of him. So I don't know if Barnard lost it and then Norman Nato had nowhere to go. But either way, it doesn't matter. It was a no points race. And Norman Nato is disqualified on the cruel corner anyway, and at the minute is looking like he's going to be the only driver to be disqualified this season, which is an impressive effort by everyone else. Yeah, honestly though, Norman Nato, a very tough season this season without a shadow of a doubt, and rounded out with a P11 finish, not even able to take a point, and ultimately cost Nissan the chance of a team's title and also the runners-up spot in there as well, because his points tally compared to Rowland's is absolutely nothing, and that's a big disappointment. So Nominato disqualified on the series anyway, will remain that way, but another tough day at the office to round out what has been a ridiculously depressing season. Stoffel Vandoorne comes next in the Maserati, and they could not translate whatever pace they had in the Saturday race into this one here, into the final. They qualified well and they raced well, but were just unlucky yesterday. This time around, Vandoorne got himself into P7 in qualifying, but then wasn't able to translate that into any sort of race performance. I think he lost his front wing, didn't he, at one stage and had to pit. But either way, just sums up what has been a tough season for the Maserati squad. Finished 9th in the team standings. 9th. Disgusting. It's 4 points. 4 points to Vandoorne, and that's that, unfortunately. Yeah, can't say anything more than that. Just another tough day at the office where points were maybe possible, but they didn't come to fruition. Next up, we come to the second of the Envisions in Robin France. And there we have it. It is, of course, Lotterer of the Week to Robin France. His teammates getting a podium. France is not inside the podium places, and I don't care how it happened. I know he had some contacts earlier on and things, but I'm not bothered. France has just been very disappointing this season, once again for the Envision squad, and Buemi has shown him up on more than one occasion. This season has been a tough one for France, looking to be retained by Envision, though. I don't know why, but yeah, we'll soon find out, won't we? But yeah, tough season. Tough day at the office once again. His teammates on the podium. He's not even in the points. Not acceptable. And it's an of the week for that reason. Then we come to the second of the Kiro Quid Pro Status Quo. Don't break my heart, my achy breaky hearts in Dan Tinctum. And there we have it, of the week to Dan Tinctum. He had none. He had 0 going into the London weekend, and he's picked up 2. He's picked up 1 in yesterday's race, 1 in today's. I cannot believe it, Dan. Unbelievable stuff. Yeah. Unbelievable. He picked up a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision and picked up a 5-second time penalty for virtual safety car infringement or safety car infringement. I can't remember which one. It doesn't really matter though, does it? It's the same thing. So awarded himself 10 seconds of penalties. He qualified himself on pole, but of course had a 5-place grid drop for his silly contact with Mitch Evans in the Saturday race, which is fully deserved. So he started 6th, then of course cost himself the pole position chance because of his silly antics in the previous race. And then of course he ended up having to pit. I think he got a puncture in the early stages, so dropped down to the last. Then the safety cars bunched him back up. Then he got himself recovered to 6th place, but as a result of contact later on in the race and as a result of the infringement behind safety car or virtual safety car, collected 10 seconds time penalties and dropped him outside the points after crossing the line P6. What a disappointing weekend overall for Tinctum after what has been a great performance all season from him. Yeah, Envision of course ended up taking that final spot away from him, so I think they finish 10th in the standings now as opposed to 9th. They could have realistically had a go though at it. I think it was always looking a little bit unlikely, but especially after the podium for Buemi. But the fact that Beckman's the only driver that picked up a point and it's a solitary one shows how bad this weekend has gone for Dan Tinctum when he was on course for 2 top 5 finishers. Could have made all the difference. Could have maybe got ahead of Maserati as well, of course. But in the end, that's life, that's racing. And Dan Tinctum ends his season off very badly with another of the week. Then we come to Jean-Eric Vergne in the second of the DS Penske's. So far down here, it's so disappointing. He's getting 2 points from me. I don't really know what happened to him, and I don't really care. There's so many other drivers inside the top 10 that drove really well. You've got the likes of Da Costa recovering from the back. You've even got the likes of Dan Tinctum that had to have a pit stop and were able to climb his way back through before his penalties tumbled him down. And yet, even with that, Jean-Eric Vergne's still finishing behind him. So, yeah, it's 2 points that he can thank me for, and what a difficult weekend it has been for the DS Penske squad, and in particular Jean-Eric Vergne. Don't know if he's just not gelled with the circuit, or maybe he's picked up damage unseen, and that's caused problems for him during the race. I'm sure we'll find out after I've recorded this video, because we always tend to do. If I had to wait for all the information to come available for a Formula E race, these videos would be over a week late every time. By the time the team radios go up, by the time the race review, the best of the onboards go on, and there's so many unseen clips of contact and damage. Yeah, I'd be waiting here forever. But yeah, Johnny Vergne, 2 points to him. And that's that. Tough way to end out his season. Next up, we come to the second of the Lola-apt Yamahas in Zane Maloney. And there we have it. Unfortunately, Zane Maloney gets his first of the week this season due to the fact that he was the only driver in the end not to score a point. David Beckman, of course, collected that P10. Those were mates for all season long of the non-point scorers, but Zane Maloney picks up nil points this season. Fully confirmed, he can't do anything to change the fact, and he's the only driver not to pick up any points either throughout the entirety of the season. All driver replacements, etc., have at least managed to scrape into the points and score at least one. I'm afraid Zane Maloney, the only full-time driver and the only driver total not to pick up any points, is disappointing. He did achieve a top 7 finish, I think it was, in Miami earlier on this season, but as a result of him not stopping, coming to a complete stop down one of the chicanes when he went off, he picked up a 5-second time penalty and dropped himself outside the points as a result of that. And I think we also had a race where he'd still got some attack mode left. And of course picked up a heavy penalty because he got some attack mode left at crossing the line, and it all needs to get used up. So he has been unlucky, don't get me wrong. There's probably about 8 points gone missing this season for him, but even so, he's not quite been on the level of his teammate. And I know it's difficult, a new team, and then you've got a rookie driver in a new team as well. So the team are trying to understand the car, you've got a rookie trying to understand the car, and the rookie doesn't fully know how the car should be. No doubt Degrassi, of course, has given some guidance behind the scenes. But yes, Maloney, there's been some very close chances to scoring points, and he's crossed the road inside the points on a couple of occasions, but never been able to keep hold of them. I think we've seen a couple of P11s from him as a result of penalties and things after races. But yeah, it's no discredit to him, but I just feel it has to be an of the week because he's the only driver not to score any points this season. Doesn't reflect on his overall championship, of course, and I think he does deserve to stay on for another season. I think he can work well with the Lola team. But we'll wait and see on that, of course. That's not my decision. But I personally keep him. I think he has done well at times. He's just been unlucky. But yeah, unfortunately for him, no points this season. It's an of the week for that reason. Then we come to Jake Hughes in the second of the Maseratis and the last of the finishers in this race. What a shame for Jake. What a terrible way to round out his season. Yeah, just what a difficult day at the office. He's getting 2 points. 2 points. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say, really. Just unfortunate. Had to pit for damage during the race, and that sort of compromised him from there. And just a really bad season. He's had that one podium so early on, and it looked like, okay, the momentum's swinging Maserati's way, but just didn't lead to anything, unfortunately. And I couldn't tell you the last time I saw Jake Hughes inside the points. Didn't qualify as well this race either. Just compromised all the way through. It's 2 points to Jake. That's that, I'm afraid. Not much to talk about because it's been yet another disappointing race. Then we come to the list of DNFers, and rounding out potentially his Formula E career, it's Sam Bird in the McLaren. Not the way McLaren would have wanted to end their last season in Formula E either, let's not forget that. The McLaren are departing at the end of the season, and it looks like Sam Bird is going with them. It doesn't look like he'll be able to retain a seat anywhere inside Formula E, but never say never. Never say never. Yeah, Sam Bird collected damage, I think it was, wasn't he? He got a hit and then had to retire in the closing stage of the race. So very unfortunate, such a shame. Not a great way to round out the season. Not really most point talking about his race. He didn't do anything wrong. 4 points. 4 points out of a maximum of 5 a retirement can score. Let's not forget that as well. And Sam Bird has ended a tough campaign with a tough finish once again. Double DNF this weekend as well for him, wasn't it? Retired on the last lap in yesterday's race. So yeah, tough one. Bitter pill to swallow. Sam, if this is your final time in Formula E and the final time I get to talk about you, it's been a pleasure to watch you since the first ever seasons and the early seasons of Formula E. You deserve to be a champion in those early seasons, especially the Gen 1 and early Gen 2 era, but it just didn't quite happen for you. And then unfortunately the move to Jaguar didn't quite work out, and this time in McLaren has not gone his way either, unfortunately, but he's been a great mentor for Taylor Barnard, been fully supportive of him, and that has to be appreciated. So yeah, Sam, tough year to round out your potential Formula E career, but thanks for all you've done. And if I don't get to speak about you again, thank you for everything you brought to Formula E as well. But yeah, 4 points to Sam Bird. What a shame. Next up we come to Ollie Rowland in the Nissan. And And there we have it, an of the week to Ollie Rowland. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. An of the week for Ollie Rowland at this final crucial stage where he could lose the championship. But what an absolute moron he was this race. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what he was doing. He massively overconsumed on energy. He was a lap behind everyone else in terms of percentage. He was never going to recover that at any stage of the race, I don't think. And then he was just driving into everyone, everything, trying stupid moves around the outside of De Vries and then trying to blame De Vries for the slight bit of contact. Like, where were you going to go, Ollie? Where were you going to go? There was physically no room for you where you stuck your car. And then, of course, it all came to a head where he lunged on Nico Muller, who had just overtaken him, whilst Nico Muller was in attack mode. Ollie Rowland was not. Lunged him, went wide at turn 1. And then, as he went wide, he just decided he'd come back on the track at turn 2, collect Muller, take Muller out of the race, and take himself out of the race as well. Just stupid. Just plain stupid. I don't know what he was thinking. Then he had an interview afterwards where he tried to blame the whole world but himself. And I was like, Ollie, this is not what we've seen of you all this season. Like, why were you like that? There was no need. I know you can let your hair down because your championship's wrapped up, but you could have at least got something for Nissan there. I don't think they were able to, by any stretch of the imagination, leapfrog Porsche, but you know, his result could have maybe helped maintain Nissan to get that P2 in the runners-up spot. But as it was, he drove like an idiot. I don't know why, and that was very disappointing to see. A frustrated Ollie Rowland when there was no need to be frustrated. You know, just get whatever points you can, chill out, doesn't matter. But instead, we drove into the whole world and drove like an idiot. So it's an of the week to Ollie Rowland for that reason. Then, as mentioned, his victim, Nico Muller, lines up next, unfortunately. I don't understand why Nico Muller is behind Ollie Rowland, because technically Ollie Rowland didn't get as far as Muller before they retired, but either way, it doesn't matter. Here he is. It's 5 points, of course. Maximum of 5 for Nico Muller. Did nothing wrong this race and was taken out by a frustrated Ollie Rowland for no good reason. Yeah, victim of circumstance. 5 points. What a tough race he's had as well. Tough double header for him. No points at all and damage every time. Yeah, unfortunate. 5 to Nico Muller, a victim of Oliver Rowland. Then we come to Taylor Barnard, an unfortunate victim of whatever happened between himself and Norman Nato. Both of those drivers were in attack mode, so I don't know if they got involved with another car that wasn't in attack mode, or they just came together trying to fight for position whilst both in attack. I don't know. But it's 4 points. 4 points to Taylor Barnard for what he has done this season overall, but I can't score more than 5 anyway, and I don't think his race was going too well at that stage, but it could have been a lot better, couldn't it? 4 points Taylor Barnard, a double DNF to end out McLaren's time in Formula E is a shame. Taylor Barnard linked to going to a Stellantis-powered team, Maserati or DS Penske. Be interesting to see where he lines up, but it'd be a great asset to whatever team he turns up in. 4 to Taylor Barnard, a disappointing way to end his campaign, but what a brilliant campaign it's been. 4th in the standings overall, best rookie by a country mile. Great result. And then last but by no means least, the driver we can't really talk about, unfortunately, because his race was over before it even began. Edoardo Mortara, of course, is here, and he was pretty much a DNS, wasn't he? He had issues in qualifying, so was only able to qualify in P8 because he wasn't able to take part in the duels due to a power issue. And then in the race itself, he pulled off the line and something broke and then retired. That was that, I'm afraid. Miller 05, which of course is a maximum a retirement can score. We didn't see what he could do in qualifying, couldn't see the best of Mortara, and we couldn't see the best of him in the race, of course, because he broke down before the race even began. Big shame, big disappointment, and it's lucky that they didn't need to rely on Edoardo Mortara for that P4 in the team standings, isn't it? Because he was over before it even began. So there we then, guys. Those were the runners and riders of the final round here in London. Let me know down in the comment section, did I score any drivers too high? Any too low? The updated standings with the scores I've just awarded, and now crowning a champion on the screen now for you to take a look at. Congratulations, Taylor Barnard pips it at the final post. Can you believe it? That of the week for Ollie Rowland absolutely cost him. And Taylor Barnard's 4 points that he was able to secure, even though it was a retirement, is enough to leapfrog Oliver Rowland by just 1.5 points. Nick Cassidy, almost like the real championship, coming from absolutely nowhere to secure 3rd in the standings on here as well, taking the 3rd place and a podium place on the overall standings. Again, if you look back at the point standings that I got at the start of the season here as well, he was absolutely nowhere and out of it. Dan Tinktum, a tough home weekend for him, sees him slip to 4th. Edoardo Mortara secures a top 5 finish, which is a great effort. Jake Dennis, a solid sixth there, just half a point behind Eduardo Mortara. And Nick De Vries rounds out what has been a really good season for the Mahindra squad with a 7th place finish for him. De Costa and Verline, line astern in P8 and P9. And then, as you can see, it was all very close and very tight, but then we have a couple of breakaways, the likes of Zane Maloney, Jake Hughes and Sam Bird, all sort of struggling there. David Beckman, of course, the biggest struggler, the rookie that really did struggle this season overall, but managed to pick up a point when it mattered in the end in terms of the overall championship, which boosted his score somewhat, but he wasn't on par with the others. So there we have everything, guys. That is it. We have come to the end of the Formula E Cruel Corner for Season 11. I'll see you all again for Season 12. I'm looking forward to it. I'm already working with Joe. Again, a massive thanks to Joe for everything he's done this season, for the driver icons and for the scoreboard as well. We're looking to refresh the series a little bit, renew it a little bit, get some more icons in, make it a little bit fresher. Hopefully, we're going to try and get an intro together as well for it to make it a little bit more special. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for your love and continued support with the series. I'll see you all again in another video very soon. But in terms of Formula E, there'll be the my team predictions video coming out, and how wrong I got that, because I think I got that drastically wrong this time around. But that'll be out in the coming weeks, of course. And in terms of them Formula E again, it'll be the Cruel Corner once again to kick off Season 12. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and as always, much love.